Hi there. How's your English study going? I hope you're making good progress. Reading can be tough, so I've picked some online articles and videos that use easy English. I've highlighted parts with keywords from our past lessons. They're short, simple, and easy to understand even without much context. I hope this helps you improve your English.
Review and different perspective. Reading practice. For speaking. Read silently or aloud, as if you were telling it to someone else. Articles and essays are read aloud and paused after each chunk or sentence, giving you time to read and understand the meaning before moving on. The video does not stop, so pause it where you want to practice phrases or any parts that interest you.
There are situations where the only thing we can do is just let it go. This thinking has changed a lot for me, as I try to stay focused on the only thing. I have control over my actions and responses.
The only thing. The dog's smile is the best.
The only thing that makes me happier. Than the mountains you see behind me. Is the smile on Loki's face.
Looks matter, but you need more than that for a happy relationship.
Social media has people thinking. That looks are the only thing that matter in dating. Looks are important. But good looks alone cannot sustain a healthy and happy relationship. You need all the other good stuff to make it all the way.
The only thing I like about being alive.
It's amazing how our attitude on alcohol changes, right? Because even as a teenager, you know it's wrong. You're like, I don't like the taste of it, but I want to look cool. And then in your 20s, you're like, you know what? This kind of gives me confidence to talk to the opposite sex. And then in your 40s, you're like, you know what? This is the only thing I like about being alive. It's only funny because it's true. I'm sure some of you are going to go to some bars, head to a bar, right? Yeah. I never really feel comfortable right when I get in a bar. I'm always kind of like, who are all these strangers? But after a couple of beers, I'm like, these guys are probably my best friends. Because your experience in a bar changes over the course of the night, right? As the night goes on, you see really why we go to bars. We go to bars so we can behave like children. Toddlers, really. You ever go to a bar at 2 a.m.? You might as well be picking up a kid at nursery school. It's the same experience. The behavior's the same in both places. Both places, there's always some strange yelling for no reason at all, you know. Woo! Both places you go in the bathroom, it's obvious not everyone's potty trained. Both places, there's always someone crying, she was my best friend, but not anymore. Both places, occasionally there's a fight. You know, he was standing where I wanted to stand. So I punched him in the head. I need more juice. But at 2 a.m., people are drunk in bars. I love how we're always surprised when someone's drunk in a bar. We're actually shocked. We're like, look at that guy. He's wasted in a bar. I came here to read a novel. Mostly the people that are drunk in bars are drunk because they're drinking shots.
Michael Phelps reflects on his journey as an Olympian, emphasizing the importance of preparation, mental health, and staying true to oneself.
Welcome to you, Michael.
Thank you.
Good to see you. You became the most decorated Olympian in history. You say part of that was through visualization.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain exactly what you mean and how you use it?
Well, whenever we're preparing for a meet or for a race, we always would think of how we want the race to go, how we don't want the race to go, and how the race could go. So it's all based off of your preparation, your training, right? So as long as you're prepared for anything that's going to happen, nothing catches you off guard, you're not surprised, you can go in, stay focused on what you have to, and go out and try to complete that mission. So for us, it was just really about the preparation, because that's the most important thing. I've competed in 5 Olympics, and 4 of them I was prepared, and 1 of them I wasn't. So I've done it in multiple different ways, and you know, it's much better going to a meeting when you're prepared and you're ready to go instead of in la la land and looking at the clouds.
Right, and you're seeing that. Do you use it now in your life?
I do, and it's actually crazy because it's like, essentially it's the same thing, right? Like it's the same mindset of, you know, what I'm trying to do outside of the water compared to what I was doing in my career. It's like if I think of swimming and what I was trying to do in the sport, I wanted to change the sport, right? That was the star that was in the distance that I was always searching for. And through that was my swimming career. So it's the Olympics and everything that went on in my career. And it was a process. So now it's just trying to figure out what I want that star to be in the future.
In a way, there is a certain element of what you're doing that is a business. How did you first expand your brand outside of being an athlete?
I mean, it just goes back to really what my goals and what my dreams are about what I want to do with myself, my life, and my brand. So, you know, for me, just trying to build a team, but a brand that I'm excited about and I love. So for me, being able to not only start my own swimming brand, but continue to work with the partners that I've worked with, I mean, some since 2001, 2002. This has been just absolutely perfect. I mean, I can't say enough. Like, ever since I retired, being able to now continue to do everything that I love, and still be able to have the support from my sponsors and from everybody else who's helping do what we're doing. I mean, because the stuff that we have going on now, like you said, could change how we look at the world. And this is something that gets me excited and gets me motivated every day. And that's all I want, to help me get out of bed.
Have you been able to speak to other similarly situated people like a Michael Jordan or a Tiger Woods?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kobe is somebody who's been super fun to kind of pick his brain a little bit about some things. And you know, when it comes down to it at the end of the day, it really just, it's what your dreams and what your passions are. That's the biggest thing. And you know, it's you know, finding a way to get it done. You know, like we've had the privilege and the opportunity in our sports to be successful or reach that pinnacle, and we know we know what it takes to get to that top level. So now it's always the challenge, I think, for the athletes to find that drive outside of the sport, right? So you know, it's a fun process and a new process.
And we see a lot of young people in sports struggle with money.
Oh, of course.
Do you remember your first big check and the realization that made you understand that this is life-changing money and it's a heavy responsibility?
I honestly don't even remember. Like, I remember getting paid, you know, I saw my first contract at 15, 16 years old. I probably couldn't even tell you what I was making back then. Like at that point, I didn't know. I didn't want to know, because I knew as long as I kept swimming, as long as I kept training, everything else was just going to work out. So I tried to never really get caught up in how much money I was making or this, that, and the other, because I was doing it because I loved what I was doing. You know, I was just very lucky to have some good talent. I had good work ethic, and you know, but yeah, I knew if I wasn't doing it in the pool, nothing else would have come. So I took care of my job before everything else happened.
But that was a level of maturity that's not common.
It was just something, I think, you know, once I got with Bob at the age of 11, you know, he was just different than any other coaches that I'd ever worked with before. So I think just how prepared he was, and I mean, how to, like, very precise he is to every little small detail. I think seeing that at such a young age just kind of helped me learn, and he instilled a lot of those things at a young age where, you know, when I got older, it was just easy. It's all second nature.
So he kept you grounded.
Always.
It's kind of like Costamato with Tyson, when he says that as soon as he died, my life spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
Because you need that one.
You have to, yeah. And he was great for me. I mean, no matter how many times we would get into arguments and yell at each other back and forth, he was the only coach and probably the only coach in the world who could have done what we did.
Tell me about your struggle with ADHD and depression.
I mean, growing up as a kid, ADD, bouncing off the wall. I'm still that way now. Like, I mean, my head is, I'm all over the place. Like, nonstop, go, go, go the whole entire day. And for me as a kid growing up, it was a struggle. I mean, I didn't want to go to the nurse's office and take my medication every day, or I didn't want to go through that because I didn't want to be different, right? And for me, I think that now has completely changed because I'm now happy with who I am and I like who I am, so I don't care really if somebody else doesn't like me or has a negative opinion on me. This is who I am. What you see is what you get. And for a lot of my career, I think I was kind of, I don't want to say I had a mask on, but I wasn't really, truly always my authentic self. And that's what I'm doing now. That's what I want to do. And being able to kind of grow from the experiences that I had in 2014 after my little bump in the road that I had then, being able just to look at myself and like who I see in the mirror was a struggle. So kind of going through that challenge and learning more about me and who I am as a person, I think was able to help me make that next step to, one, finish my career how I wanted to, but also become the person who I want to be. You know, I looked at myself as a swimmer for a long time and that was it, not as an individual. So for me, learning all of these things and experiencing these things at the age of 30 was new and it was different, but it was something that definitely changed my life. And now am I still going to struggle with mental health? Yeah, of course. I'm still going to have anxiety from time to time. I just came out of a depression spell. So, there are going to be things that happen throughout my life that are going to be normal for me because that's what makes me who I am. But for me now, learning some of the things that I've learned and picking up some of the tools that I've picked up along the way to help me get through the struggles, the depression, it saved my life. For me, just being able to stand up and talk about it, I think was something that was a challenge, but it helped me, and hopefully that can help other people. I know there are so many people that struggle from the same exact thing that I've gone through.
You said you just went through a depression spell. What happens? Can you just demystify it?
I can always see like certain tendencies. Like sometimes I'll start to isolate a little bit, or I might just not really be happy and kind of be edgy a little bit. And I just kind of know those signs that something's not right. So for me, then it's like, okay, take a step back, like what's going on, reassess every situation. So then I'll go back in and I start looking at basically emotions. Like, why do I feel these emotions and where are they stemming from? So I have an understanding of why I'm feeling that way, and then I can go and talk to somebody, or I can, bring it up to my wife, or I can go to my therapist, or I can hop online and text my therapist. So that's why I say, like, I picked up so many tools. I was able to sharpen those tools along the way because I know this is going to be something that's going to probably continue to happen throughout my life.
How bad did it get? What was your darkest moment?
2014, not wanting to be alive for a handful of days. After my second DUI, basically locked myself in the room for 5 days, didn't want to talk, didn't want to see anybody, didn't want to even be here anymore. And it got to that point, and I think me being by myself gave me time to kind of understand that there's a different route and try a different route instead of taking my life. Like, what else can I find? What else can I learn? What else can I go and do? The only thing I could think of was asking for help. And where do I go? What do I do? So for me, I just started kind of looking up places of where I can get off to, or I can go and spend some time and kind of try to seek personal help, and obviously I needed that with, carrying a lot of the stuff I basically compartmentalized as a child, and I carried it through my whole life, and I didn't need to carry that excess baggage. So for me, it was just a step that I wanted to take because I thought I could learn more about what was going on. And I thought there was a way to get help. So I always like trying different things to try if it works. Like I'm always eager to learn, and that's something that I've always been.
And now I can see that you're a man speaking from that chair from a position of empowerment. There's a destigmatization effect. Is that?
Yeah, and honestly, really over the last year, I don't really see a stigma around it anymore. Like, you know, because there are so many people that are standing up and talking about it and opening up and expressing the feelings and the journey that they've gone or the struggles that they've had. And honestly, like the coolest thing is it's showing people that they're human beings, right? Like I'm a human being just like you are, just like everybody else in this world is.
Do people not see that?
Sometimes I don't feel like they do. Sometimes I feel like as an athlete or a performer that you're supposed to be this person that doesn't have any problems or doesn't have a weakness. But then it goes back to what we were saying about a human being. We're all human beings, right? And we all struggle differently in life, but we all have similar problems too. So it's like, you know, for me, just standing up and talking about it has really helped me. And truly, like I said, if I can save a life by sharing the experiences that I've had and continue to have on a day-to-day basis, if I can save a life, then that's, for me, that's all I want.
I get the sense that you wanted to swim competitively more than anyone else when you were a kid. What drove your motivation?
When I was growing up, I have two older sisters, so I watched them in the pool. My mom put us in the water for water safety. That was the only reason. They started swimming internationally and nationally, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to be an Olympian. I want to be a gold medalist. I want to be a world record holder. I want to be a professional athlete. And the journey started probably like 11, 12, and a few years later, I made my first Olympic team in 2000.
Was there a race or some significant milestone, some story that you can tell that told you, I'm talented at this and I can be the best in the world?
I think over time, things started kind of setting in or happening. I saw something special. Like I thought I was decent at it, right? I mean, I had a couple races that probably were pretty big wins and they just kept going. But I think also another aspect or another part of that was I had a coach who truly believed in me. And for me as a young kid, I grasped onto that really hard when he said that I could be an Olympian in 4 years. So I believed everything he told me, and he proved it. So, you know, I mean, 4 years later, I made my first team, and then I basically just said, all right, what's next? Like, what can we do?
What was your regimen like in your earliest days of competitive swimming?
I guess when I was like 11 or 12, I was probably going 5 or 6 days a week in the water. But it would be 10 workouts a week, so 3 days I'd have doubles. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have a morning session, afternoon session, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, a PM session. At that point, I was probably just doing like 3 dryland days where it was basically just body weight, push-ups, running, some of that stuff.
But I think that that's something that people miss, that a lot of people who we've seen who have had tremendous success from a young age and move forward, a lot of them wanted to do it.
I was very excited to do it. Like, it was something that got me excited every day. Like, that was just who I was. Like, I wanted to be the greatest of all time, or try to be the greatest of all time. That was my goal, to do something in the sport that nobody else has ever seen.
What do you say to people who say, well, that's too perfectionistic? You shouldn't always focus on winning. There are a lot of people out there who experience that when they're trying to be
But I wasn't focused
best.
on winning. I was focusing on preparing myself the best way that I could. Because at the end of the day, when I step up on the blocks and races, there's 7 people that are in that heat, I can't control what they do. I can only control what I do. So if I am over-prepared, you can guarantee that I'm going to be ready to swim. And that's what we did. You know, we just tried to make it where we were overly ready. So we had no shot of losing. You know, that was the biggest thing, is we worked ourselves as hard as we could. I mean, there was a reason why I went 6 years straight without missing a single day.
You're a paid ambassador for Colgate.
This is our 2nd year with our Colgate partnership, being able to spread the important message of water conservation. For me, it's always been what fits and what is, I guess, what goes hand in hand with the beliefs that I have. And for me, everything that I'm doing now has those beliefs. You know, Colgate, we're both hand in hand with trying to get this message out to save and conserve as much water as you possibly can. It's something that's so needed. So for me, it's kind of easy when I see things like that are so hand in hand, that they get me excited, and it's easier for me to be me and talk about what I love. What we're doing now could potentially save a life, but also it's the opportunity to save a resource.
Would you have done everything the same as a kid, been ultra disciplined, ultra competitive, and just a kid who lived for swimming?
I would never change anything that happened in my life to this point, good or bad, because it's made me who I am today, and I like who I am today.
Michael Phelps.
Cheers, man.
Some examples. Shopping is about the only thing I have to do today. I've finished work, cleaned up. Now the only thing left is to go home. Is sending the form the only thing I need to do? Eating ice cream in the evening. Is the only thing that I look forward to. Cooking is the only thing that I am good at. Drawing is the only thing that I can focus so much on. That I forget the passing of time. When I went to Canada, the food and all the scenery were out of this world. The only thing I didn't like. Was the high taxes on everything. There's no point thinking about it now. The only thing we can do is move forward. Anyways, what we can do now is the only thing to do. You can't change others. The only thing you can change is yourself. When I entered college, the only thing I had in mind was, I should have no regrets when I leave this place. The only thing I might suggest is that you should include an introduction of yourself at the start. From the archives. Maybe I'll treat myself to dessert. Since that's the only thing. That seems to make me feel better these days. After doing my research, I realized the only thing created for hat travel was the hat box. Who even uses that anymore? That was my light bulb moment. Traveling with hats. Inspired me to create the hat clip.
Thanks for watching. I hope this helps your learning English.